County 911, what's the address of the emergency?
With a transfer. Go ahead, ma'am.
What's the address we need to come to?
It is 5334 East Bob
Okay, and what's going on?
Raymond Plumley, my son, he's threatening, he has a gun, he has him. He walked out in the field right now with his shotgun and said that if we call the police or if they come out here, I'm going to die today.
Washington County 151, I have a suicide threat, Bob Lawrence.
Good.
1019-25334 Bob Lawrence, 5334 Bob Lawrence, County 4029. We have Suzanne Plumley, Public Service 911. Advising her son, Raymond Plumley, is in psychosis, hasn't been taking his meds. He's code 1 with a shotgun and said if they call police, he will die today. He's in the field, right? Caller advised they've already taken 3 guns from him today. He's been out of control and harassing everyone. They did have to wrestle the guns away from him. He pushed his grandmother as well.
Yeah, North Central Stadium.
We'll show him that way.
the day of the shooting, I was actually out on North College when the call came in. I know that there was a flurry of action and activity throughout the county, most of it headed into the northeast part of Fayetteville. And I just had to make a determination at that point where I would be most useful, and I sure didn't think it was going to be out at the scene. I had found out that Ty had been wounded, and determined my best place was to be at the emergency room at the hospital awaiting his arrival and visiting with Emily and making sure everything was okay on that end. Been through that once before with Taylor, and my time with Taylor was spent actually holding his hand while they were putting a tube into his rib cage, and he about crushed my hand. I remember that event very clearly, and so I made Emily go in with Ty on any of those events because she was actually present and much tougher than I am. But not to make too light of this incident, it was one of those calls that we're seeing way too often these days, guys. Well, at this particular incident, we had units everywhere. We had, I think, Mark Piper was on the ground. There were a couple others on the ground on you, and I can't recall all the names. Rick will give those off to you in a moment. But I happen to know that Ty, who had just been promoted lieutenant about a week and a few days before that, if I remember right, and Ken Williard from Fayetteville PD and Oscar Henson, sergeant with the Washington County Sheriff's Office, were together, but in a tactical approach through an open field. You know, what is a tactical approach through an open field when you don't know where your suspect is? And prior to this, they had heard shots fired. So they were on high alert, but there was no way to get to the area without exposing themselves. But isn't that amazing what law enforcement does? When there's a call, rang out for help, for assistance, shots fired, whatever it is, here we come. You know, we lay our lives on the line every day, and in this particular incident, without knowing where the shots were fired from, in fact, the way Ty told me the story was that they were approaching, saw some horses looking in a certain direction, felt certain that the suspect was in that area, and the next thing he knew, his leg collapsed under him, he fell, and then he heard the report of the gunshot. Well, as all of you have followed this, it was just no ordinary gun. It was a 12-gauge shotgun with a 12-gauge slug that hit Ty in the upper thigh, shattering his hip, exiting out his left cheek, if you will. Can I say that? I just did. Emily's got pictures if you want to see them. I choose not to, however. At any rate, this is when it got really exciting because everybody reverted to their training, which I'm so proud of both departments, all agencies involved. But in particular, you know, Ty at that point reverted to training that he had received before but had just been to the Friday before. All of our deputies carry tourniquet packages and everything for a traumatic event such as this. And Ty, after returning fire from a fallen position, began applying first aid to his leg as best he could. Oscar and Ken were exposed. Oscar dove for cover behind a tree, which we later found out had been struck by at least one slug, if not multiple. Still, you just saw Oscar up here just a minute ago. The running joke around here is, how big was that tree? Oscar says it doesn't matter how big it is when you're being shot at, you can just compress. I don't know. It's amazing. But at any rate, we're so thankful that Oscar was spared, as was Officer Williard from Fayetteville. But what these guys did at the next instant, and at some point, this is the way Ty kind of explained it, Superman appeared, and it was Officer Murphy from the Fayetteville Police. It was like as if he jumped from the air and landed out there after Oscar had gone out to help to drag Ty out of harm's way while Ken Williard was basically giving cover. Murphy appeared out of nowhere, and between he and Oscar, they dragged Ty on up the hill and got him to a safe position where they could further tend to his medical needs and get him to safety. It's amazing to me, you know, the things that you do on a daily basis, and then we come up with an event such as this. Heroes aren't born on a day like this. They're just revealed.
That's right.
Isn't that amazing? Thank you, guys.